Hi, this is Tracy again with Acropolis Technology Group. One thing I want to talk about today are what are the hidden costs of IT managed services in St. Louis. So hidden costs is it almost has this nefarious, like somebody's trying to get one over on you type of connotation. So in 99.9% of the time, that is just not true at all. I'm sure there are some charlatans out there, but we don't run into any of them. We found our competitors are very forthcoming and honest, and we are too. However, there is a wide range in what IT services cost, and in this case, the devil is in the details. So a couple things you want to look at is every single agreement that you sign should have very clean edges, and whoever you're dealing with should be able to talk about those edges and be able to define what the exclusions and the inclusions are. We have managed services, everything from supplemental IT support that is very specific. We only do these small number of things because you have an internal IT department that does all these other things. So if everything that we do is covered, everything outside of those things that are covered that your IT department might need us to do would be time and material. And those things are all very clearly defined. On the other side of the spectrum, for like an all-you-can-eat service, or when we are the IT department, there's only a few things that we don't cover. And I'll explain it with a really bad metaphor or really bad analogy here in a second. So on the all-you-can-eat side of things, the only things we don't cover are projects because we can't predict when you're going to need a project. We do have a projects included plan, but to be honest, I would push. We have that plan because a couple clients asked for it, but I would be hesitant to offer that plan because you're then paying full time for something that you may or may not need. So we've got to bake that into the cost. So it makes the plan real high. We're not a bank. We would rather you keep your money and save it and use it. And then as you have projects, just spend the money at that point. But projects we don't cover because we have no idea on day one when we're just talking what projects you might need. We would just have no need, or we would just have no way of knowing that at the beginning. So the best analogy on that type of plan I would give is healthcare. I know healthcare is typically not a great analogy, but in this case it is. All of us have insurance, and if you fall down and break your leg, you go to the hospital. Hospital's going to cover it. If you need a surgery to reset your leg, it's all included in the plan. It's an accident. Accidents are covered. You need to go to the doctor to get preventative. You need to get a vaccine, or you need to go get shots, or you need your kids need a checkup to go into sports, or you need doctor's visits. All those things are covered. All the preventative maintenance is covered as well. So when you think of our advanced plan or our all-you-can-eat plan when we're the IT department, we basically cover nearly everything. Prescriptions, we cover doctor's visits, we cover hospital visits, we cover hospital stays. All that stuff is covered for one fixed monthly fee. What isn't covered would be the elective surgeries. So whatever that might be, if it's elective, if it's something that we can't predict, or if it's something that's not an accident, we would of course work with you on that, and we'd put together a scope of work, and we would define what that is, and we would agree on a price, but there's really no way for us to include that in the cost. One thing that we bump into periodically that isn't something we do, but we've seen where on-site visits are not covered. So some IT managed service providers, again, not us, our on-site visits are included. What they will do is if they have to send somebody on-site and do work, they will bill you extra for that. We don't, it's included in our plan, but some people do. Some people don't cover line of business applications. One of the edges we have in our agreement is we might not be an expert on your line of business application, but what we will do is we first require you to have support with your line of business app because nobody knows more about it than them. Plus, typically included in that is patches and bug fixes and things like that. But if we're your IT department, we will be the technical liaison to call them and get them working on the problem and give them some technical insight as to what we're seeing on our end. So it's not really your problem to fix. We will work with your software provider to fix that problem. There are some companies that charge extra for that. Vendor management, there are some companies that charge extra for that. We do not. There are some companies that charge extra for strategic services, depending on the plan you choose with us, if you have our all-you-can-eat plan or our We're Your IT Department plan, we actually offer strategic services as well with no extra cost. On some of our lower plans where that's just not baked in, we have a lot of clients that really might be smaller and they don't need strategic services on a recurring basis. We just offer them that a la carte as needed. There's no reason for them to pay for it if they don't need it. Those are a couple things that jump out as to what's included, what's not included. But those are really the big things. And regardless, all of those things should be very clearly defined in any agreement you sign. So before you sign an agreement, ask this specific question. I need to understand what's excluded. So there should be a list of exclusions in their agreement. Inclusions will be a little more general because you're not going to define every single problem that's included. But what most providers should be able to do is provide everything that's not included, and that should be in their exclusion section. If you talk to a company they say, oh, we just do everything. If they're not the most expensive company out there, that's a red flag. I would be really, really concerned if they say, oh, we do everything, and they're cheaper or even average cost, because that just should speak to the fact that they don't know what they're doing, or they're not mature enough to have a financial model that they've really vetted and thought through. So red flags we do everything, and red flags are, we do everything for a low cost. It's as old as time, good, fast, and cheap, choose any two. Same thing here. If they're doing everything and they're doing it for a low cost, it's unless they're magic, I don't know how they do it. So with that, that covers what to look for, any hidden costs, and hopefully that's helpful when you choose a managed service provider. Thanks again. I'm Tracy Butler with Acropolis Technology Group. Have a great rest of your day. Appreciate you taking the time.